have such sights to show you.
We're Poppin the Scary Horror Podcast here. I'm your host, Coale, and with me as always, I have my good friend and co-host, Aaron. Aaron, how's the weather out there, buddy?
Well, it feels like summer, that's for sure, Cole.
Yeah, and what better time of the year than to go to camp?
Exactly! Camping at a nice crystal lake.
Yeah! So we're diving back into, in all honesty, my favorite horror franchise in the entirety of all of them, Friday the 13th. Checking out the fourth installment, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Now, so far, Aaron, I would say that you have 2 hits and 1 strike with this franchise. First one, you thought, go ahead, dive into details.
Yeah, well, I guess the first one I kind of liked, the villain and the energy, and it was fun and campy. The other two, I like the movie, but the second one had some goofy moments. Third one was a good all around time. But I'm excited to see what's in store for number 4.
Yeah, because one of the things that you had notated at the end of our Grudge episode was just the name within itself, the final chapter. It kind of took you back a bit because the joke is, everyone knows there's a lot of Friday the 13th films, and so just hearing the fourth one be called the final chapter, I'm sure kind of confused you a bit.
Yeah, well, I would just guess, is this the final one they intended to make, and then the capitalism struck, and they were like, more?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
That's exactly what had happened and everything. Like, they were intending on this being the final film to, end the saga with. And I'm only mentioning it now before even mentioning the film because it's quite literally in the title. It's like Endgame for the Avengers, this is it. This is what it's all been culminating to and everything. So do you have any sort of thoughts, anticipation whenever it does come to this title and the idea going into it?
Final chapter, there's a likelihood that they kill Jason and then somehow he comes back. I don't know. I'm gonna guess that. That's my hard, bold prediction. I don't know. I feel like they're gonna maybe pull out all the stops. Hopefully, I want to see them pull out all the stops because this is the last one. It's the last one ever. We're never gonna see any more of these. So,
yeah. I will mention this is another one of those films that, again, especially whenever it comes to ranking all the Friday the 13th films and everything, people have their own thoughts about this one and everything, and I'm not going to dive into it, but I tend to kind of clash a little bit with the opinions of this. I've seen this film about, I think, 2 times. I think I've only seen it twice and everything, and so I will reserve any sort of judgment, especially because it's the film that's supposed to end the franchise and everything, so I can't spoil anything. But this is one where there's definitely a lot more interesting points to talk about. Granted, I feel like I could find interesting points in all of the films. Even if it's there is one film in this franchise that I really hate, but that's we'll save that as a day for we'll just save that for another day. That's what I'm trying to say there. We're not talking about that film. Anyhow, so pack your bags, Aaron, because we'll be right back after we get back from Camp Crystal Lake.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Right. And we are back from experiencing the final chapter of, yes, Friday the 13th. And Aaron, with that being the absolute.
Jeez
There's
a little bit of Scooby in there.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Doing that. With this being the absolute definitive end of the Friday the 13th franchise, ignoring any other films that may bear a similar name afterwards.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think they got a great deal on breakaway glass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The window people were like, we're rich!
Yeah! They must have had a mole inside. Somebody wrote the script that also owns the breakaway glass company.
Yes.
They were like, every glass you see, it will shatter.
It will shatter. It will definitely shatter.
No matter how many takes it takes.
In fact, the more takes, the better.
That was good. They didn't pull out all the stops for sure. They did all the things you love and expect from Friday the 13th. There was boobies. There was kids in the woods. There were people getting hacked to bits, and probably the most we've seen of all of those things.
Yeah, I will mention, this is probably, I don't have the exact numbers down, but this is probably the biggest body count out of all 4 of the films.
Yeah.
Like, people are dropping like flies left and right here, and I definitely think it's good they amped up the body count and everything, because if you can believe it, this film came out 40 years ago in 1984, wow. So... yeah, it's funny to think about that. Basically, they're like, okay, this is going to be our final Friday the 13th film, so let's just go all out and everything. And I don't think there's a kill that's repeated. Like, there are similar kills, but it's changed just enough to make it unique. It's like they pretty much wanted to make sure that each kill that happens in the film is its own memorable moment. Yeah,
for sure. Even if they were killed with like the same tool or something, it was all, in an interesting way. They tried to just not, I don't know, some of the old Friday the 13th movies, I would say, it's just like, stab. All right, next kill. Like,
yes, 2 is definitely the biggest culprit of just doing the same. Like, right. I know if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but come on, just spice it up a little bit.
But this one at least was interesting. I mean, there's one, like, just to give an example, there's one where, like, yeah, it was a stab, but, like, you see the silhouette of it with the lightning, and it's like, and you're like,
yes.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's just like they at least tried to get funky with it, which I appreciate.
Yeah. That it's funny enough. It's one of those things where I didn't really take that in until this third time, because again, it's like usually I'm just looking for the straight in your face stuff, but just the fact that they did do some artistic takes is kind of funny and ironic, considering that the Friday the 13th was known as like sort of like schlocky sort of garbage and everything, but they have a lot of artistic shots, which is surprising. I mean, I still love the franchise, but, from the general public, it's funny that they would try to be like, hey, let's just make this cool looking and everything, as opposed to just, whatever.
Not to say that I will go ahead and I'll be on record now. I don't think this was a cinematic masterpiece. I don't think there was definitely some like rough cut editing and some like well, they guess they didn't have enough film to make this transition work, and like there's a couple moments like that, but I didn't think it was as bad as something like Friday the 13th, the second one, but like or anything. But there was definitely moments where it's like, yeah, this is still like low budget horror.
Yeah, I'll be curious as to where you rank this film amongst the 4 films that we've seen so far, because I'm just going to be straight up honest. Whenever it comes to the critical reception from the fans, it basically just know with the Friday the 13th franchise especially, critics have always hated this franchise, essentially, and it was just one of those things where it just kept pursuing on because the audiences loved it and everything. But basically, whenever this film came out, and now especially, people regard it not only as one of the better Friday the 13th films, but arguably like the best. And for me, that always like made me like get hyped up for it, because I mean, even whenever you look at the movie poster, admittedly, it does look like it's like the penultimate sort of thing. This is the movie poster they use with the knife through the mask and everything.
It does kind of go hard.
Yeah, it does. And so it's definitely iconic for many reasons, especially for moments and stuff like that. But whenever I watched it the first time, I went in with such high expectations and they just could not be met. And then whenever I went back to watch it a second time, thinking like, okay, I know I didn't like this first time. Second time, I was like, it's still okay, but it's meh to me. This third time, I think it didn't go any lower. It might have gone a little bit up, but it's still one of those things where obviously I'll talk more about the reasoning why or whatever. But this film for me never quite hit as hard as it did for other fans where they say like, this is my favorite. This is the definitive film. I can see the arguments made as to why. I just tend to have more fun with part 1 and part 3 better. So that's a little foreshadowing as to my further thoughts, but that was sort of like the interesting history I had with it, because obviously, you know me, I like 1 and 3. 2, I like it even though it's a very, very troubled film.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, like, I could still like it, but still acknowledge it's not a very good film at all. But this one was always interesting for me, and it's even more interesting with the history and sort of the way they set up the film, even because it's definitely a little bit different than just usual, like, a bunch of campers at the lake there. They change it up slightly. They still got to keep the formula the same. They can't mess with it. But the other thing that's interesting is, I don't know if you noticed with the practical effects that they were actually pretty well done and everything, and that's because Tom Savini's back. So Tom Savini is known for his practical effects in the horror world and everything else, and he did the effects for the first film. But then whenever they decided to make Jason the killer of the franchise, he was like, this is stupid. I'm out. You can't pay me for this. But whenever they mentioned this is the last one we're doing, he was like, all right.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
What's up? It's your boy Sabini.
I'm believing you on this. There's definitely not going to be 6+ films after this.
Right.
So it's definitely interesting kind of seeing how things were leading up to this moment for this to be the final film and everything. And I do feel like if it was the final film, would have been fine of an ending. I feel like there. Obviously, we could talk more details because we got to get to the story and everything.
What's the story?
What's the story
What's the plot
of the
here?
final chapter? Basically, we pick up exactly where we last left off in Friday the 13th, part 3. Funnily enough, just showing all the ambulance workers picking up the bodies and everything, which is surprisingly, like, you always see the ambulances at a lot of, like, horror films or action films there. You never see them, like, wrap up and clean it up and take it out. Usually it's, like, in the midst, and then they walk away from it. No, you see them go through the process of picking up all the dead survivors from part 3, as well as Jason. And whenever Jason's brought to the hospital, shockingly enough, he's not dead.
Wouldn't you guess?
Yeah, super duper crazy. And so basically, Jace is out and about again, returning to his stomping ground to crush some more teenagers that happen to be renting a house next to his family that happens to live deep in the woods as well.
True.
So, yeah, that's basically the setup and the premise, and then it's basically free for all, everyone fend for themselves sort of situation.
2 cabins, 1 Jason.
Yeah, and you know, I think one thing I can appreciate is, like, I feel like a lot of times with some films, they feel the need to amp up the story. As we've seen with other sequels like Nightmare on Elm Street, they feel the need to explain something that we weren't necessarily questioning too much. And it's one of those things that, like, it's good for world building, but also it's nice not to know. So it's kind of nice for the most part that with Friday the 13th, they're like, yeah, Jason's just pissed.
Yeah.
He's really pissed off. And so that's what I've always liked about it. It's just the fact that it's a very simple story.
Right.
And you don't need any other added context. And because of that, it allows so much more carnage to go on screen and everything. And the film's like about a little over an hour and a half long, but you feel like they jam-pack a lot of content. Granted, pacing-wise, I did feel like there was one point in particular I'm like, man, nothing Nothing's going on. This is like
True.
Jason's in the back room during a live show, taking a drink and they're needing some filler before he gets back out again.
He's just taking a little nappy before he goes back to killing.
Yes, exactly. Like, it honestly did feel like that, but overall, I still think the story is just, I mean, solid. It's just super simple.
Yeah. There's, I mean, it's not that complex, but you don't need to be for this. It's about watching people die and watching boobies. That's what this movie's about.
Yes, and oh lordy, yes, the gratuitous amount of nudity and sexual innuendos is full frontal force, just
everywhere you can slot it in, it's in.
Yes, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. So, whenever it comes to the survivors of the film and just general characters, there is so many. There is so many characters to go through and everything. And in all honesty,
do you want a speed run in?
Like almost like we didn't start the fire or some shit like that.
I could just a quick overview, and then we can go in depth about the ones that we like. How about that? Or the ones that are important. Because there's 6 camper kids that are all in a van. Then there's 2 twins that show up to have their boobies out and make out with some of the dudes. And then there's the cabin of 3 people, right? The mom, the daughter, and the 10-year-old like boy, and the dog. Can't forget the dog.
Gordon. I don't know why I remember that name.
Yeah, Tommy and Gordon and Trish. I actually remember their names. That's good for this franchise. I usually don't. And then there was one guy in the woods that was also a camper in a tent who was hunting bears apparently.
Yes,
and that's basically the cast right there, plus Jason.
Yeah.
But then we got to go in depth about the campers because I hate some of them. So.
Oh.
Actually, this movie's good. I only hate one of them. I hate Teddy Bear.
Ted, you don't like Teddy?
No, I don't know how much I'm supposed to like him, but he's really annoying, and his character is good at being really annoying, but he is the Franklin of this movie for me.
That's fair. That is totally and unbelievably fair. Let's see. I will do my best to try to remember who everybody is, because even as a fan, and even though this is my favorite film, keeping their names in track and everything is definitely going to be a bit of a difficult one. So we'll go ahead and start with the family that lives in the woods already, the Jarvis family.
Oh, the Jarvises.
Okay, and so the older sister of the family is Trish Jarvis, played by Kimberly Beck, and it's that is one thing I will say about this film. Don't expect a lot of character development, rich character telling. We're back to square one of like, this is the character. They are not changing. You know who they are. Let's keep this going.
Yeah, I think there's a couple that have some interesting details, but for the most part, it's like, this is this cutout. This is this cardboard cutout. This is
yes, exactly. And I feel like with Kimberly Beck's performance as Trish, she is like the older sister that's, basically somewhat responsible, but still likes to, have fun and everything for the most part, but is also very protective of like her family, especially her little brother Tommy, as well as her mom and everything. Yeah. She does good. Yeah. You believe she is trying her best at everything, although she does fall into the unfortunate trope of making questionable decisions during high press moments.
True, yeah.
And everything. So I feel like overall, still good. I mean, give it thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, she's fine.
I think the thumbs up, thumbs down thing is going to be the best thing we could do with this character list moving on and everything. Next on the list, one of the biggest surprising ones you probably saw was Corey Feldman's in this film as Tommy Jarvis. Who plays the little brother in the Jarvis family. And fun fact, if you ever notice his name, Tommy, and his love of practical effects, makeup, and everything else like that, it's sort of like illusion, sort of homage. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for, to Tom Savini. you know,
yeah,
so
Tommy.
yeah,
Okay.
fun
Alright.
fact about
Yeah.
that, just showing his love of stuff there, and that he's back in this film, and that he helped kind of pioneer the franchise with the groundbreaking effects he did in the very first film and everything. But yeah, so Corey Feldman, I felt like the first time I watched him, I'm like, I cannot stand this kid.
Oh, really?
I cannot stand this kid. But the future times I've watched it, I'm like, he's fine. He's
like
like a
him.
little kid.
He's a little nerd.
Yes,
In the
exactly.
woods. He's a little nerdy woods boy.
Yes, playing, like, just walking around with like the mask on and everything.
Playing
and
video
just,
games. Come on, Mom. I've got 30 more tanks to blow up or whatever.
Oh my god, yes, that's exactly what it is. But like I said, it's one of those things where I did come around to it where I'm like, he's fine. You know,
Yeah,
like
he's
I
just
like
a
him.
kid.
Yeah, I'm doing
He's got
that.
some fucking goofy moments, but that's not his fault.
And I will talk about Jason later or whatever, but I do have to mention this point right now. In this film, Ted White is the person that played Jason in this film, and he mentioned during his time working on it, supposedly he hated Corey Feldman. He thought he was like a
really?
super brat and everything, which I
Wow.
think that's the problem with child stars is that
Yeah.
there's that sense of entitlement. So anytime, spoiler, Jason had a moment with Tommy, that violence that was shaking from Jason, I don't think was just Jason.
Gonna kill this kid.
yeah. So fun fact about that. Ted was definitely not a big fan of Corey
Oh.
in this film. But overall, I still feel like he's good for the story, you know,
Yeah.
just like nerdy character. And again, obviously, he plays a bigger part in sections of the story there, be it
Yeah.
minute or major there. So, plus the fact I think I have to like separate this between all the other films. I think this is like kind of like the first little kid that is
Yeah.
seen in the franchise, because kids do appear later in the franchises, but I think this is the first time where they're like, okay, let's bring like a little kid here,
Right.
because normally it's just big dumb group of teenagers messing
Right.
around.
And that's kind of been the point of this, is ever since they explained in the first film that, like, the kid drowned because two people were doing hanky-panky. Like, all these movies are just like, if you're doing the fucking, then you're bad and you're gonna die. And so, you can't really just have kids doing the fucking. So
yes.
So it's a bunch of teens in the woods that are be doing the sex and they die. So I mean, I get it. It's not like random people don't just get killed in these movies too, but like that tends to be the focus. So I mean, I get it. Also, probably watching children die a lot might get old, but
Yes, for sure. So definitely is. It's nice that at least with this, whenever they had the intention of wrapping up the series, they were just like, you know, let's not give them the same old. Let's just try to mix up the formula a bit.
something
But
different. I like he was.
do
The,
that.
I ended up liking him. I think because he had the most depth of a character, which is not saying a lot. But they like gave him like shit that defines him. He's like a little nerd, but he's also really good with tools, and he's kind of like the man of the house because there's no man there. You know what I mean? So he's got to step up, and he's likes his weird little masks, and he's kind of a cringe little kid when he meets strangers in the woods, and like, you know, he had stuff going for him. Everyone else on this list is like, that's the mom. Moving on.
yes. And yeah, let's talk about Miss Jarvis, played by Joan Freeman.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, technically, whenever it comes to a character, she's fine. There's just
She
not
is a character.
much. There's just not
Yeah.
much to it. She's literally just there as another body there.
I imagine in the script it's probably like one line that next to her character's name. It's like, she's the mom of Corey Feldman.
You know, and like the moment she does get to be like a mom and do like the nerdy sort of mom stuff,
Yeah,
like
the
whenever
little-
like her and geez Louise, Trish end up like hugging Corey and are like, you guys doing
Yeah.
that like sort of nerdy family stuff. It just helps fill in. It's like perfectly fine. Last Jarvis member, Gordon, the dog.
Yeah,
He's a dog.
he is a golden retriever.
Yes, golden retriever. He definitely does have a wild ass moment, but
That's true.
as is, he's a dog. So like so far, thumbs up on characters that are like
great.
perfectly fine for the story. Another one that does appear is Rob Deere, played by Eric Anderson, who randomly finds Trish and Tommy whenever they're in the middle of the woods, being like, "Oh yeah, I'm just hunting bears. Don't mind me."
Yeah, and Corey Feldman's like, there's not bears here. And he's like, shut up.
And I feel like overall for his character, it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine, just to try to bring in a little bit of like reasoning and lore to the group, because obviously, as we come to find out later, he ain't just hunting bears.
No, he ain't. He's hunting pussy. I'm just kidding. That's everybody in this movie.
He's just sort of big, strong guy archetype that's a potential romance for Trish. That's where it boils down to. And so this is like the one where it's like, you know, I wouldn't say it's a strong thumbs up, but it's like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, fine.
Serviceable.
Yes, serviceable. Does the story well. Now, I'm going to be completely and totally honest.
Yeah.
While part 4 is not my favorite out of the franchise, it does have one of my favorite survivors, and I did mention this, and that is Crispin Glover as Jimbo.
Yeah, he's
Jimmy.
actually pretty good. Yeah.
I love this character so much.
Such a dork.
He is such a dork, but he's so likable too.
Yeah. He's not like a glasses dork, like a stereotypical movie dork. He's just kind of like a guy with no riz. He's got no game.
But I just love so many moments with him. Like every time I watch him, like he's the one that I'm just like, man, I want him to survive.
Yeah,
I want this guy to live. I love this dude.
Because he had a little bit of a charm. He's got some character besides just being a cutout. So
and not to mention, did you see his dance moves?
Oh,
his dance moves.
Creative.
Yes, very creative type with the dance moves. And I know you mentioned at one point he's building like a Cheeto atom structure or something like that.
It's like using toothpicks and like Cheeto puffs to make some sort of something while a girl's like, hey, don't you want to dance? He's like, oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so because of that, it's like, I like him a ton. He is one of the outstanding characters in this film, for me anyways, where I'm like, man, I like this character. He's, again, no riz nerd or whatever, but you want to see him. Yes. And I just enjoyed him, you know, because a lot of times you're just rolling off just sort of a normal stereotype, like sport jock, nerd, pothead, etc., sort of thing. But this is just like, I like him a ton. For having no riz, you have the riz in my heart, Crispin.
He riz him with the tism. That's what he does.
Oh my god. Holy hell, dude. We'll go ahead and jump on over to the next character here real quick. My phone is dying on me.
Oh no.
That's always fun. Here we go. All right. So then the next character we have on the list is Doug, played by Peter Barton.
Oh, Doug.
Peter.
Peter.
Barton. He is just pretty boy.
Yeah.
I could not tell you a defining thing about him besides nice, pretty boy.
Yeah, the only reason I knew who you're talking about when you said Doug is because process of elimination. I was like, who else? Oh, yeah, Doug. That guy must have been Doug.
The only moment of like thing that stands out is whenever he starts singing Tangerine.
That's true. I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
That guy.
That's it. And so it's like even hard to give a thumbs up, but it's not a thumbs down. It's just sort of like Caesar still has his thumb in the middle. He doesn't know exactly which way he's
Caesar's
tipping.
giving thumbs up and thumbs down to people, and then this guy comes up and he's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. Are you sure you're supposed to be here?
Oh, yeah, you're that guy. Just get out of line.
Just
come back next week.
You have to schedule a time for your audition. Right. Like, I am so sorry, but let's talk about the one person you gave a thumbs down already to. Ted, played by Lawrence Monson.
I don't like this guy. I don't think this role is necessary. I guess there's some sort of charm in it, looking back at these movies 40 years later, to be like, this is the guy that's just a fucking annoying. But like, it seems like most of these movies have one guy that's just like, this guy fucking sucks. Here he is, you're eating up all the screen time.
Yeah, there's always that one asshole in each Friday the 13th film, and he definitely takes the cake, especially keep calling Crispin a dead fuck.
A dead fuck.
You know, let me check my computer.
Well, it'd be funnier. I was about to do the delivery, but this is what pisses me off. He could have just typed up on the computer and then be like, it says right here, you're a dead fuck, or whatever. And like, I would have been like, I get it. Okay, next thing. But that scene was like fucking a minute long. He's like, well, it's not looking good. What do you mean? Well, you know, it's because he's a dead. I was just like, pick it up. Let's go.
Is he the most insufferable character you've
He
met
is-
in the Friday the 13th franchise?
Oh God, there was that one in the second movie that was really, or no, was it the first?
It
movie
was the first one with the
Archer guy?
headdress.
Yeah, that guy was probably more insufferable. Yeah. But this is a close second.
Yes. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm used to this trope, unfortunately, in the Friday the 13th franchise. So for me, it's a lot more palatable just suffering through. But I will say he does end up being the butt of the joke a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
He does get his just desserts, but at the same time, it's just annoying, like, because I kind of know that's going to happen at this point, you know?
well,
but-
no, not even that. Just like everybody just basically just being like, you're stupid.
Right,
Yes,
yeah.
and so then he's literally the joke in front of the survivors.
Yeah, but, yeah, I just one of those things that doesn't even make me feel much better about it, because I'm like, yeah, even everyone on screen agrees with me, like, get him off. Like,
Yes, it's like, nobody likes this character
Nobody
here.
likes this guy.
Yeah, like I said, I don't blame you for not liking him. I'm just fortunate for me, he's like palatable to where it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, he has his moments still. He's not, like, always the worst. It's just, like, most of the time he's like, hey, let me be really aggressive towards women all the time. And while I'm not doing that, I'm calling my friend who's asked me politely multiple times to quit calling him a dead fuck. So it's like, why are you even friends with this guy? He's just a dick. Leave him in the woods.
That is definitely fair. Let's talk about the next character, since like if I had to give him a thumbs up or thumbs down, I am sort of like sideways. I don't hate this character, but at the same point, I'm not gonna vouch for him. He's the dude where I'm like, no. For me, it's just another body, essentially. Moving on the list, we do have Sarah, played by Barbara Howard, who's like the sweet, shy girl who's not sure exactly about, like, moving forward, but I still like her perfectly just fine. Like, I think it's just like, yeah, she's a good, nice girl, but that's about it there.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, you can describe her character in those two words. She's nice girl.
Yes, like, you know, it wasn't insufferable to watch or anything else like that, so.
No, but also just didn't have a whole lot of character.
Yes, for sure. So, like, for me, I'm like, you know, sure, thumbs up, why not? Like, I'm fine with watching her or whatever, but it's not like, sort of like, I would die for Jimbo sort of situation. And we keep moving down the list here to, the final party guy, Paul, played by Clyde Hayes, and he is arguably, like, not as bad as Ted, but, like, bad in the sense that there's just nothing to him besides just being, like, a sort of, oh, I'm a dude. Oh, what? I'm being hit on? Weird.
Yeah.
You know, I'm being weird on. Even though he has, like, zero riz, even though he's like, oh, ladies love this song from, like, the 1920s, like the slow dance song or whatever. Has a ball cap on. Yeah, so
he's really, it's hard for me to even, like, distinguish between
I
him
like,
and
cause
Doug.
that I honestly would say, like, he's probably the weakest of the guy characters, essentially, because there's just nothing to him. Like, he's literally only there just to piss other people off there, essentially. So it's like, I don't blame you, Clyde. I blame the script, you know, especially because we got a lot of bodies to go through and everything else like that. So, I'm sorry. For me, he is one of the worst characters in the sense that there is literally nothing to him besides, like, I exist.
Exactly.
Yes, so I am definitely sorry for all fans of him from the Friday the 13th franchise, because and that's kind of the same thing, unfortunately. That's tag team with Samantha, played by Judy Aronson. She's literally there just to be hooked up with Clyde, and then once one of the twins starts flirting with him, she gets mad and leaves.
Yeah. She's also like a little bit of a counterpart to Sarah.
Yes,
they're
that's
like
the other
friends,
thing.
And she's sort of the more like, I'm gonna have fun and sleep around type girl.
Yeah.
And then Sarah's like, you can just have sex, and she's like, yes. Turns out you can just to be fucking, and she's like, oh wow. And then that's her character.
Yeah. So she definitely made it off better because she gets to be like, sort of the person that talks to Sarah about this sort of thing. Because again, she's more experienced, and Sarah is basically a green thumb with this, essentially. So, and she gets to have like some cute moments, I guess, whenever it's like, I'm not getting out of the water until you get in, or doing whatever, doing something like that. But aside from that, nothing too strong.
No.
Definitely nothing too strong. But whenever it comes to the thumbs up or thumbs down,
I mean, I give her a thumbs up. She's like fine.
Same. I feel like she's good for the story
I think she's
and characters
way
at the very
better
least.
than like Paul or Doug or something, who's just like kind of nothing. She's like kind of nothing plus a little bit of character. So
yes,
like,
that's
thumbs up.
exactly it. And then we're going to talk about the twins, Tina and Terry, played by Camilla Moore and Carrie Moore.
These two are
They're twins.
They're twins, and they let you know because all of their outfits are exactly the same. And they ride the same model of bike, and they're just like twins. I feel like somebody heard that like every horror movie needs like some twin girls that are creepy or wear the same outfits or something. They're like, yeah, but then they got them. They were just like, oh, let's just make them hot.
I'm curious. I have no idea about twins. Do you ever think it's like sort of like, I don't know, it's weird to say this, and I'm not even trying to be like extra like woke or anything, but like almost like offensive to say like twins are exactly like clones of each other, like dressing up the same.
Kind of lazy. I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think any twins are like butthurt about that.
Yes.
But that's like a really lazy trope. That's just like, yeah, twins are very similar because they're twins. You know what I mean? But like, unless like. I mean, these are like not children. They're like adult women. Why are you still dressing identically the same? And nobody's like, hey, that's kind of weird. What's up, girls? Like, why do you have the same exact bathing suit with the same exact top, bottom, shoes, bike, hairstyle, makeup, everything? Like, when you're an adult, that's just, nobody does that, dude.
Yes. It was just like something I just thought of just now or whatever, that I always see a lot of twins dress up the same in movies and TV shows. So I was like, I wonder how that's portrayed, like how that makes others feel. But as is, they're fine. They're just twins interested in partying.
Yeah. I don't know. They're fine because I know that there's just, this is the type of movie where they're just like, yeah, we got to have a bunch of people in this house because there's a guy that loves killing people. So let's get him in here. But yeah, they're just kind of big nothings. If I for some reason they gave me the script and were like, you need to cut out half the characters, like those would be the first two to go for me.
I feel like the only use they have is just adding again confliction to the already like couples there or whatever, and also later hooking up with Crispin or whatever. I feel like that's about the only thing they add, is just to make the dynamic more interesting amongst the characters.
Right.
So,
but I would agree with that, but they are definitely kind of more plot devices than they are characters.
Yeah, so for me it's like a neutral sideways. I genuinely can't say this character's like bad, would have been better, because again, for me, Friday the 13th, I'm just ready for Jason to rumble.
Yeah.
And let's see, before getting to Jason, since he's obviously the big character, I do have to give a shout out to the two minor characters, as the fandom wiki is telling me about. They are minor characters, which is Axel, played by Bruce Mailer. And you talk about like Ted being insufferable. Axel is way more insufferable.
Oh yeah, well he just, spoiler alert, wasn't around for very long. So
True. He couldn't rub you the wrong way a lot longer. But this dude,
he's
straight from the gate, he is like a concentrated version of douchebaggery or whatever. So it ends up being laughable because it's like, this dude is ridiculously awful. But that's one where I'm just sort of like, if I had to thumbs down to anybody, like, this is for me there.
He is definitely there.
I don't know. It's almost like infuriating. Like, it just triggers me on how awful he is or whatever, which I guess means it's doing a good job, but it's just almost like badly written. Like, they're like, we need to make this person disgusting. What do we do? Oh, he just is covered eating a donut, leaves the donut on Jason's dead body as he's signing papers off or whatever.
Right, and sexually harassing the nurse.
Yes. And watching the most weird ass yoga video and anything. I can't remember what it is, but I remember it's like, I don't think they actually recorded it for the Friday the 13th.
Just find it. It's such a weird thing because it was like, it's definitely women in leotards like moving around, but it's just in a white room and they're not doing like an exercise video like do this. It's just like ass shaking.
Yes. By the way, I didn't want to say if it was real because I didn't want to be like lying. It is real.
Oh, great.
It's called Aerobicize, the beautiful workout.
Aerobicize, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they made that to jack off to.
Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely the case.
It is not an exercise video. It looks very much like one, but then you just watch it and there's no like, all right, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's just ass shaking, like in weird ways.
Yes, it is
on a loop.
yeah. It was so weird and everything. Like I said, I made the joke with Aaron that this looks like something that'd be on Smiling Friends, like on the TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Just the weird ass animations they do and everything.
Like the most bizarre thing that you could explain to an audience in 30 seconds that people watch in a weird fantasy world. I was like, who's actually watching this?
Yes, that was exactly it. And so, needless to say, I was not sad seeing him not make it. Essentially,
yeah.
Like for me, I was just like, yeah, you know what? Just call it good here. It's fine there.
Yeah.
And the nurse, I feel like again is just only there just to show how big of an ass this dude is and everything. So again, I'm sorry, Nurse Morgan, I do not blame you for being with this. It's just an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess finally we'll talk about Jason here, played by Ted White, which I know a silent man like that, it's hard to see exactly, like, oh, how was he in this film? But Aaron, how was he in this film?
I mean, he did the big killing. He was a big intimidating guy. Yeah, it's hard to tell because it's not like the dude has dialogue. A spoiler alert: I guess he doesn't pop off his mask mid-film and say, "Good evening, teenagers. I'm looking for the bathroom.
Oh, do you know where it's at?
Actually, it's Voorhees time.
It's Voorhees time. Jason's catchphrase.
Yes.
Doing that.
Yeah. So it's hard to really tell. But I mean, and even then, this is a horror film. Half the time you see kills, you don't even really see his whole body. You just see him fucking jump through a pane of glass and drop kick somebody or whatever. That'd be cool, actually, if that happened. I'm sorry that doesn't happen. But,
no, definitely implement some more WWE style moves there. Doing that, but this is like the one and only film I think Ted did, because obviously the people that play Jason, they're more stuntmen than they are actual actors and everything. But I feel like for the film, I feel like he's intimidating. I'm like, that's Jason.
Yeah,
that is absolutely Jason running around, as opposed to, again, the second film where it's just a baghead, where I do have a harder time believing it's Jason.
Yeah,
besides the Pamela Voorhees head in the shack and everything else like that. But yeah, I feel like he does a good job. The stunts he's given to like break through walls and everything though is incredible.
He does, yeah.
Like I have never seen Jason be this violent, like where you actually see him actually moving hard, and he like, I feel like anytime like the way they made him look while running is a lot more intimidating in this film than in other films where it's like broad daylight and just looks like jogging, he's hustling there or whatever. So, but I think that's more on the camera work needing to be applauded than the actual like a character choice. Like,
Right.
I feel like if I run like this, I'm going to really, really sell it to them, essentially.
There are definitely some moments in this film where you see him like chasing somebody or whatever, and they're at like a standoff, and he seems like a little more human, you know what I mean, than like supernatural mega being. But yeah, I do think for the most part he is just like a colossal, scary dude.
Yeah. So definitely kudos to Ted White, and rest in peace and everything. Definitely did a good old job in this film. I did want to mention another thing that I didn't really think about until now, that, with us making the joke like, yep, this is the last one, even though it isn't at all whatsoever, is how they open the film like as a montage to all the previous films, and
to give you the wrap up like previously on Friday the 13th.
yeah, I honestly was a big fan of that. Just showing like how the franchise has come along, seeing a lot more of the iconic moments and kills in the franchise. We even got to see our good old friend in part 2 whenever he falls down the stairs in his wheelchair.
Glad they included that clip.
Yes, but just sort of like building it up, sort of like it's like they were doing the cinematic universe before the cinematic universe. All these films are leading up to this moment. No, just I always gotta shoe in Marvel jokes in this film. That's beside the point. But that definitely helped add to a good setup.
Yeah.
I feel like once again, music is on point as always as well. Like I always love Henry Manfredini's score. One thing I do have to ask you on your thoughts: what did you think about the title card of this film, showing the mask and then final chapter zooming in behind, causing an explosion?
I wouldn't want it any other way. If
Yes.
somebody asked me to make the goofiest, most epic title possible for this movie, that would be exactly what I would try to make. And so I'm glad they did that, where it just explodes. Final chapter.
Doing that. Yeah. And so we've moved through a lot of the characters there, and now we're at the point where there's usually not too much more to mention before getting to spoilers. But is there bullet points you want to mention before spoilers?
Bro, not really. I mean, I do think it's nice that they do have multiple sort of like, I don't even want to say plot lines. That's too strong of a word. But multiple sets of characters that they bounce between that are like, here's the little wholesome family in the cabin, but then also here's these guys that are the typical teenagers that you associate with these type of movies that are all partying and having a good time. And then there's also this one lone guy in the woods that's hunting for something, you know what I mean? So I like that they had this sort of triangle that made it a little more interesting to bounce between, instead of just like some of the other movies can get kind of dull because you're just kind of like, all right, now we're in the part where there's a kill every 5 minutes of one of these teenagers. Okay, this one's gonna go walk off by themselves for some reason. Great, So I do think the balance of this was good. They had some good ideas while still being very much a Friday the 13th film.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely can agree and get behind that, essentially. Let's I don't know. I think definitely them going bigger, like probably the biggest kill count in the entire franchise there, definitely is good. But yeah, I'm sorry for people that want to know more, but legitimately with the Friday the 13th franchise, we could talk
more to talk about. That's not like a
you're not watching it for the deep lore and story and crazy stuff like that. I feel like it's just genuinely fight to survive, and it is a wonderful time to watch, mind you. There's just not more to mention without straight up spoiling everything. I will mention one thing: they amped up every aspect of it on kills, effects, horniness, because they have like a huge strip,
so horny,
nude, like basically skinny dipping. That's what I'm thinking of the term. And they're like swinging from a rope, butt cheeks are flapping, boobs are flying, like they are just sexing it up essentially. They're surprisingly not as much on drug representation, but usually they only have like one pothead, and that went with a good old Ted there, you know, just smoking doobies and watching like old film reels.
Oh, right. They had to shoe in some more boobies in this, so they found like an old porno flick on a film reel that's in black and white, and it's just like women with their boobs out that you can barely distinguish, and they just show so many shots of that.
They were really happy they were able to show as much of that as they could.
I just feel like, yeah, in the writer's room, they were like, I bet I can get 50 unique pairs of boobies in this movie. And they're like, no shot.
Prove it, Johnson.
I got this. There's going to be 30 right here in this film.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I hate to do this. I guess without spoiling it, how do you feel like the kills compared in this film to other films?
I mean, I like this for Friday the 13th because a lot of times we talked about some of them can be kind of simple, with the exception of maybe the wheelchair flies down the stairs.
Yeah.
But even that was like axe and then wheelchair down the stairs, a little bit of flair, you know. But I feel like each one of these kills had some flair to it, whether or not it was like, you know, super crazy. He did the wombo combo on him or whatever. You know, a lot of them, the actual method of kill was fairly simple, but it was like unique scenarios, unique situations, unique reasons for people to be alone and in different parts of the scene, you know, like whether they're in the leg or in the house or in whatever, you know. It was nice to see the variety whenever there was such a massive amount of kills, because it would be easy to repeat. But yeah, I do feel like that was nice. I think some of the kills didn't have much impact because they are just like, all right, kill next. But I do think for the volume of kills, most of the kills were, pretty creative and interesting. I'm not gonna be like, these are the best kills of all time, but they were for Friday the 13th. Yeah, they were pretty good.
Okay, excellent. Well, I feel I'm pretty much of the same opinion. I feel like every film in the Friday the 13th franchise has at least one amazing kill. And so I feel like with this one, I feel like the batch of kills we got were pretty good. I would definitely argue that 2 is the weakest whenever it comes to sort of like unique variety of kills. So this is definitely one of the stronger ones. Maybe not quite as goofy as and memorable as 3, since especially 3 was working with the 3D effect at the time, so they were really thinking what would be crazy with that. And then 1 I felt like had a lot of good solid kills, so I feel like it's on par with 1, I would say, with the amount of like, oh, that was a unique kill there. But again, definitely glad Tom Savini came back to help out with the effects, because the effects look really good. Really, really, really good. So kudos to you, Tom. I think that's about it. We're going to have to jump right into ratings here. So, Aaron, what do you rate Friday the 13th, the final chapter?
Boy, before I tell you the number, I'll tell you where I rank it among the films we've seen so far.
I'm so stupid. Yes, that is a better question. Go ahead.
Because I also don't remember what I've rated all of these films, so I hope that I'm lining up with those numbers, but I'm telling you right now, based on my memory, I honestly put this, okay, so we'll do it from the bottom.
Yes.
Number 4.
Number 4
is Friday the 13th Part 2. That movie sucked. Number 3, or is number 3. Yeah, the third film. Yeah. Number 2, though, and here's where it gets interesting. Ooh. It's this movie. Yeah. It's pretty good. But I'd rank it, it's just a little bit under number 1 for me. I feel like number 1 had a novel idea. Jason wasn't the killer. It was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool story. It was interesting. They had some stuff going for it. And then everything after that has just kind of been like kill fest for me. But this one was cool. They had a little bit of stuff. I would give it like, again, I don't remember what I rated any of the other ones, but I give this like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's above average film. It's a good flick. It's definitely campy, cheesy horror. It's Friday the 13th. If you've watched up to 4 till now, you know what to expect from this kind of thing. But if you're just watching a random one for some reason, I'd probably tell you to go watch the first one. But if you just put this on for some reason, I don't think you're going to be lost. I think it's a good time, and it's there's not a whole lot of deep lore you need to ingrain in your brain. And I love that it has a little montage at the beginning that kind of tells you, hey, here's what happened earlier. Great. Here's the highlights. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot for me to ramble on about with this one. It's just a solid, campy 80s horror flick. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I do think, I mean, we'll go into the ending and stuff later. I think some of the inspiration behind the ending was corny as hell. But,
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately, I think it was a decent way to cap off this series as they originally intended to do.
Yeah. Well, that was a much better way of rating it than what I was initially gonna do there. I feel like I've already kind of already gave people
You've let
my
it known.
perspective.
Yeah.
I've let it known, but I felt like it was important that people knew my perspective before talking about comments about how I have felt about this installment of the film. But the real question is, like, really, how does this stack up for me? I won't do crazy drum rolls because we had no idea where you were going to be at. But out of the films, I would rate 2 as the worst out of the 4. I still can appreciate aspects of it and everything, but I'd be absolutely lying if I said it came even close to being as good as these films. But the next one for me is this film. This film, the final chapter for me, I just have a lot more of a fondness for 3 because I feel like 3 is definitely a much more even film. And again, I felt like they just had a lot while I feel like this one definitely, like, I could see people arguing definitively, like, this is the definitive Friday the 13th sort of style film, just the amount of teenagers kills. Before I may have been more dead set on it because I'm really attached to 3 and 1. But now just watching it through the third time and taking in a lot of stuff like there, I'm like, I can see why people say it's like their favorite. It's just not mine. And it doesn't come close to being like, you know, in the top 3 films I would rank. There are 3 films out of this franchise, aside from spin-offs, that I would rank as top 3, having seen all the films and everything else. But I still, like, I can't be, like, big contrarian and be like, this film actually sucks. You know, essentially, it's definitely not bad at all. And then, of course, you know, I've talked about flipping it between back and forth. I feel like it just always depends on the mood, on how you're feeling, and like whether the numbers fluctuate, because I can't remember even my numbers either. But if I had to, like, say, what's your favorites, then mine would be, starting from bottom to top, 2, 4, 3, 1. I feel like 1 is just super classic and everything. And funny enough, because, spoiler alert, for the 50th gajillionth time on this whole podcast, Jason is not the killer in the first one. Wow! So it's funny to think about, but I feel like the third one for me is a more definitive Jason film. But this one is still good. Yeah. I feel like, in all honesty, one of the films I considered the definitive, like, if I'm looking for just pure Jason, it's one of the later films. I won't say which one, but there's one that I'm like, every time I think of Jason, it's like, boom, that's Jason. There's a Jason I know and love. But yeah, with that in mind, I still got to give my rating. I'm pretty close to where you're at on the rating wise. If I was being... It's either a generous 7 or a solid 6.5. That's where I place it at. It sort of fluctuates. It depends on how much I focus on the stuff I love about the film versus stuff where it's like, it's K. Right. It's K, essentially, there. So that's where I would rate it. I mean, if I could only choose one, maybe 7, just call it good there, but 6.5 if I'm having a really bad day.
Fair.
Yeah, so there's our ratings for Friday the 13th, the final chapter. If you're listening to this episode, I assume you've either seen it all or you're just seeing what we have to say about it, but if for some reason you don't want to get spoiled, we're going to tear this film apart faster than Jason can with spoilers. So why don't we slice to the first spoiler?
Woo! Okay, when the dog got thrown through the window.
Oh my god! Oh, that was so weirdly shot. Like,
because it's obvious the dog is like jumping through, like the way that they filmed it practically.
Yeah.
So like, I was just like, why did the dog jump through the window? Because it was just such like a random cut. Like my brain was just like, that's hilarious that a dog is just like, they're like, where are you? And then he just. That made me. That my initial reaction to that was laughter, and then I realized, oh yeah, he was thrown through. But
yeah, it's weird because like this isn't surprisingly the first dog death we've seen, because I'm pretty sure they did kill the dog in the second one, even though they did have that dream scenario where it's like, oh, the dog's alive there. I feel like with this one, it was just more so like, we can't kill the dog; they'll hate us.
Oh yeah,
you know, and so they literally have to like do like. Not sort of off-screen, but off-screen kill, where it doesn't even look like the dog's being thrown. Again, it looks like he's just jumping through the window, and then you don't see him land or see the body or anything. It's just sort of like, Gordon, you know, seeing a golden retriever fly through glass, essentially. And landing, that was one of the things where I'm like, okay, they wanted to kill the dog, but they couldn't commit to it.
Right. Yeah, and I understand that because people do feel sad when dogs die, but I do think that's so funny that we just watch like 10 people die before that, and they're like, "Well, we can't kill the dog." Though.
Yeah, we're not monsters.
We're not monsters. We only take human lives.
Yeah, I would say probably kind of talking about the kills is probably going to take up the majority of.
That's like all there is to spoil besides the ending, but I mean, like. What plot are we spoiling?
Oh my God. Wait, hold on. Okay. Okay. Mind you, I am having to look through, like, the fandom or whatever, because they're talking about deaths in the film or whatever, because I wanted to be sure every death got recognized.
Yeah.
There's a section of counted deaths and not counted deaths.
Oh.
And one of the non-counted deaths is Gordon Jarvis, where it just says, jumped out of the window to escape from Jason.
That's not really how I interpret that.
That is most certainly...
I can see how you'd get that, but I don't think that was the intention. I think it just looked kind of funny because they had to make a dog go through a glass pane without killing it in real life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. Like, I'm just like, sure, movie. Gordon just jumped out the window and ran away to a farm upstate.
I honestly would have preferred in every metric if they just had a really bad like dog ragdoll mannequin that they threw through the window. Just because it was already funny to see the actual dog go through the window, so like you're not getting the drama points. Like just throw a dog mannequin through the window, and I'm gonna think that's hilarious.
Oh my!
But also understand that it's dead.
Okay, so the name of the wiki is called like Dead Meat Wiki.
Okay.
There's another non-counted death.
Oh,
banana. Crushed
banana.
by the hitchhiker.
That was maybe my favorite kill.
That's fair.
Because I feel like they had to be like, all right, most of the people that die in these movies is because they're doing immoral sex behavior, but this is a sexless hippie that nobody wants, so they just had to give her a phallic object to like be putting in her mouth while she dies, and then she squeezes the little penis banana out of her hand.
Oh my God. Well, she was a hippie.
Yeah.
That's her ultimate sin.
That's her big sin.
Doing that. And I did confirm this is the film with the highest kill count up to date with 14 kills.
Pretty good.
And everything. But yeah, the hitchhiker being stabbed in the throat and like blood and banana drool falling down as she squeezes the banana out. It's super funny, over the top, quick and funny.
Yeah.
And it's good use of time as well. Like, hey, we need to jam a kill here in about less than a minute.
Right. To let you know that not only is Jason out, he's at the camp right now, where these campers are.
Yes, doing that. But I guess we could just go, because I'm going to be honest, folks. We could talk about the story, but it's just mostly teens fucking around and finding out.
Yeah, it's
there.
like, yeah, you want us to go step by step to like, and then they took their clothes off and jumped in the lake, and then they went and drank a bunch of beer, and then one got mad because the other one was kissing, so she got naked again and went in the lake. Like,
yeah, because like we can mention that, but like because of so many prominent kills, the kills are tied to reasons on how the heck they even got there,
right.
Essentially. Like, we could talk about the very first and well-deserved death of the film, Axel, the morgue assistant there, who, you know, again, is trying to hit up on Nurse Morgan, essentially, and then whenever the hand drops out, and spooks her, she gets mad, and then he's just there drinking coffee and dribbling it all over himself while watching these aerobicize thing, which is so weird. It was already weird to begin with, but as soon as they all started like slow twerking and everything, doing that, but I do love just how awful he is at his job. I will mention one cool thing that happened, because obviously we saw like Jason rumbling underneath the sheets whenever nobody was in the room or whatever, but there is one scene whenever he does close the morgue, you see a puff of breath steaming out of his mask, and I was like, I noticed that the first time, and I was like, that's cool movie. Kudos to you. Like, here, catch, kid. But then he doesn't even close the morgue door, because otherwise Jason probably could get out of a morgue thing, but it just like was ease of convenience. And Jason proceeds to get a bone saw, slit his throat, and using that slit, turn his head around. And everything. So it was brutal, violent, and well-deserved, mind you.
Yeah, and that was one of the better effects of the movie, and I'm glad it was like the first kill, because it lets you know, like, good stuff's in store, guys. So
yeah, and then Nurse Morgan is unfortunately the next victim of Jason's raid, essentially, as he basically starts choking her, picking her up, and basically slicing her with a scalpel, essentially. And that one was like a little more subdued, but at least, again, it just felt more unique. Or whatever. That's the one thing. They're keeping up the different flavors. They're not giving you the same slashy slash effects there.
Bonesaw, check.
But,
scalpel, check. What's next?
Doing that. It was the hitchhiker with a banana stab, which you said might be your favorite kill out of the entire film.
This is fucking goofy, but like the movie knew it was goofy, you know, and they're like, like, why else would they give her that banana?
Does it beat the wheelchair death?
That one, oh man, that one's hard. I do love that wheelchair death, but just because of how fucking ridiculous it is. But I guess that's why I love the banana death too.
They're pretty even in your eyes.
Yeah,
like, for
don't
sure.
Don't make me rate.
No, and it's so funny too, because I'm sure you weren't expecting her to die. It was just going to be like a passing through thing.
Well, you know, as soon as like the camera kept on her as the vehicle drove off.
Oh, that was the one.
I was like, oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
And then she hears a little crack in the woods. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's get on with it. But I didn't expect the banana, so I was like, you got me there.
The banana changed the scene entirely.
That's all it takes. One banana.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and then I love that this gives timestamps. Like, if you want to see the kills, go to this time frame in the film. The next kill that happens is with Samantha, whenever she basically gets mad at Paul for flirting with, I have no idea if it was Tina.
One of the twins.
Yeah, it was Tina, because Tina left Paul to go be with Jimmy.
Which I will say, and this is starting to sound like we're recounting like prom drama in high school or something.
Oh my god.
Tina left Paul to go with Jimmy, and she said that Sarah was, and I'm like, yeah. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's basically what it boils down to. Essentially, it is a lot of teen drama, which I guess maybe they're really good at writing. Who knows at that point?
But yeah, even that was Paul.
Oh my gosh,
you don't know how to keep a woman. But
Dude.
Also, what's up with that twin? She was like, obviously knew that they were together. She was being real aggressive with it.
Yeah, Tina was ready to get some action and everything. And Terry is unfortunately just stuck there, because she's like, okay, we just need to be together and everything there, because I can't leave the party without you there. But yeah, whenever Samantha gets mad and is like, oh, I'm going for a swim, essentially, because
I'm mad, so I'm going to go into the woods by myself and get naked and get in a lake.
Get naked again and everything. And then she swims out, and then she decides to crawl into a life raft. And then she gets stabbed through the stomach, which, again, the effect looked really good and everything. Not like, you know, as much as I love the Kevin Bacon kill in the first one, you could tell like where the prosthetic ended and the head started there. So Tom Savini, I felt like that was him be like, I need to do this better.
But then Paul goes out, like Paul,
yes,
and to see her, and she's still in the raft, which I like, because he's like, oh, she's there naked waiting for me or whatever. But also, how is that raft still afloat when he stabbed her through the bottom?
I know, like I think it's because like the bottom half is sort of like the I can't think just not inflated, and it's just the
Right,
rim.
just the tarp.
But like water should have been flowing through there pretty quick, unless he left like shortly immediately after. You never know the
Right.
time frame of what it is, like if it's going on the same time or whatever. But I do like initially whenever he goes in, he doesn't get naked. He's committing to the jorts and everything going through.
I didn't wear these short jorts for nothing.
Yes, and then he's going through the water, and it's like they focus on him so slowly going for a swim.
Right.
That was one of the
They show
weird
him
things.
Walk all the way through the mud, and then now that my shoes are completely muddy, I guess I should take them off. And then...
I know, doing that, and I felt like it was almost like the actor was having a hard time committing, like, oh man, this water's so
This is
cold.
gross.
Yeah, doing that, because he's like hunching slowly over until he can't like go any deeper,
Right.
and he's like, okay, I gotta start swimming. And then whenever he goes out there, he starts panicking and going to the dock there, and I'm guessing this is why they made him wear jorts, because I did confirm it. He is stabbed in the crotch. It looked like he was stabbed in the crotch, but I didn't want to like say that if it's like, oh, it's actually the leg.
Is it like a harpoon or something?
Yeah, it was like a harpoon or spear, something
like a spear
like
gun
that.
or something, because he like stabs him, and then I think he like shoots the spear gun or whatever.
Yes, does something like that, which we know he's good with a harpoon in the
True.
last film and everything, but
True.
that was an interesting one. Like, okay, last time we just did it through the eye. What if we did it through the eye?
The brown eye.
Yo, God.
No, he was definitely stabbed in the penis.
Yeah, don't be gross. Oh my god. Oh my god. And the next kill that, again, like literally these are minutes apart from each other in this segment or whatever. But the next one is Terry whenever she's wanting to leave, and Tina's like, just go without me or whatever.
Yeah, she's busy fucking
Yeah.
crisping.
I mean, I can't believe she didn't stay, especially with Ted's good pickup line, like, want to kiss a teddy bear?
Yeah, well, like imagine not only having that pickup line, but then using it on her sister minutes before, multiple times, and then trying it again to the girl that was sitting across the room listening. It's like, imagine he's just using the shotgun approach. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm just gonna walk up to every woman in the mall and be like, "You want to kiss the teddy bear? No, all right. Do you want to kiss the teddy bear? No. How about you over there in the back? Would you like to kiss the teddy bear?"
Yes, and unfortunately it didn't work out good for Terry, because we get the most artistic shot in the film that basically she's walking to her bicycle, and then in a flash of lightning we see Jason's silhouette stab her in the back, essentially. And so artistically I thought it was like, that's kind of cool they did that there, as opposed to doing like sort of the cut away from whatever goes on.
Right.
Like the next kill is with Miss Jarvis, where literally she's walking outside and she gets scared by something and has never seen the rest of the film.
Right, she just goes, ah!
Like, they never find the body or anything, but mind you, the Dead Meat Wiki says it is a counted kill.
Okay, well,
But-
she dead.
Yeah, but they literally just put question marks next to it because they're like, I don't know what happened. Probably died. So that one was just like, I felt a little bit cheap. Like, I'm like, you couldn't come up with like one more kill, essentially. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. That one kind of watered it down a little bit for me, where I'm like, it's a little cheap, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, rip to the goat, Jimmy's the next kill.
Yeah.
After I love that whenever him and Tina, first off, whenever they go to the bedroom to do it, essentially, the bed breaks randomly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay. And they just continue on. And then, of course, Jimmy has to be like, am I a dead fuck? There. And then she's like, you were incredible. And he's like, yeah. Like, I love Crispin Glover's awkward, nerdy laugh in the film. It's fantastic. Like, he genuinely, I don't know if I'll ever get around to this, rating all of the, ranking, I guess I should say, all of the campers in the Friday the 13th films, but he would be in top 5 easily. I would say easily one of the greatest. So you kept giggling during the whole thing though, because like he's going downstairs to get a bottle of wine and he shows off to Ted with like the panties there, which I was like, okay, that's where you fucked up. You're flaunting that, you know, you're not a dead fuck, because they kept making this joke or whatever where he's like, don't call me that,
Stop calling me that.
and so then he has to brag that he had sex or whatever, and he's looking for like a corkscrew for the wine. He's like, you know where that corkscrew is? Were you just thinking Jason has it?
I was just thinking it was funny the way he was yelling. That's why I was laughing.
Oh, okay. I was like
Because he's
wondering.
just like, "Hey, Daddy!" And just walking to the other room. But Teddy's just like so engrossed in this ancient booby flick that he couldn't hear him, I guess.
Yeah, just like smoking a doobie there. Because he says it like 5 times.
He's
And
like,
then,
Daddy!
and then suddenly Jason comes out, stabs his hand with a corkscrew. And then you think, oh, he's just going to corkscrew him to death. No. That's just to pin him down as he breaks out the cleaver and cleaves his face in, essentially. So that was a sad kill. It's definitely sad to see a legend go like that, but
At least he got laid.
that is true. That is, he's not a dead. I mean, he's
He's
dead, but he got to fuck.
Right.
So he's a dead, fuck.
Right.
Yes. The next one that ends up facing Jason's wrath is Tina, who basically is thrown out onto the top of a car and just rolls off dead.
She looks out the window and notices that her sister's bike is still
That's
there.
what it
next
was.
to
She was
hers.
looking there,
And she's
and
like, "Oh, why is she? I thought she left or whatever." And then gets
yeah, Jason grabs her and just yeets her
Yeah.
out of the window. I was like trying to remember, like, how did she fall? And then you mentioned looking at the bike. I'm like, you're right. And
right.
I thought that was a fun kill.
I thought it was fun. I thought it got cheapened a little bit by the fact that everybody got thrown out of a window after that, but it started with her, and then
Yeah, it started
was
with her. She's the first window
right,
jump.
and then it was the dog, and then but it's but when I first saw it, I was like, okay, go off, Jason. But
Yeah, like, look at you go, tossing them, letting gravity be your weapon of
Right.
killing. I'm always a fan of it, so that was a fun one there.
I just don't know how nobody else in the house noticed that somebody was thrown out of a window onto the car.
I think by that point, there was
Jimmy's
definitely
left.
yes. Jimmy died. I love the time frame.
Jimmy. No,
Jimmy died barely before Tina
right,
did.
right, yeah, Jimmy, and then Teddy's there, and then the other couple is
Yes,
there still.
Doug and Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And Ted, I felt like had a cool setup for a death, but overall it was just kind of okay, getting stabbed in the back of the head, and you see
Yeah.
the projector screen get ripped.
I thought he was gonna rip through the projector himself.
That would have been so good, or make an homage to if they were watching 3D movies or something like that. But again, I'm sure they needed to count the boobies.
Yeah, especially since they were kind of setting up where he was doing his fucking give Teddy a kiss thing again, but to the booby lady on the screen. I thought it would have been funny, but also cool if Jason ripped out and grabbed his face and their faces were together like he were gonna kiss or whatever, but then he just
oh yeah, just sort of
ripped
clapped
his
her.
eyes out or just bashed his head in or something.
Yeah, but no, it's just a stab to the back of the head, and it's kind of cool seeing the rip and blood tear, but definitely sort of ranks lower on the cool factor on the kill.
It was a cool setup, and then just a meh kill. But
yeah, and then the next one, being cut short of his Tangerine song. I will say he has one of the best lead ups to him dying, because he keeps cracking jokes or whatever, because he's like, you want to come in and sing a duet?
Right. He's like, buddy room. And then he starts to think, well, maybe this isn't Sarah. So he's like, Doug, is that you? Or whoever the other person is, Paul?
Yeah, he's like, whoops, drop my soap.
Hope you don't come in here.
Doing that.
He's just trying to get action from anybody.
Yeah, and then even though it's not a window, Jason does break through the shower door glass and everything, and stab him through the glass, which was
have that shot of the blood running down his legs with the soap that he dropped next to his.
yeah, which is sad because it looked like Doug and Sarah were gonna do it in the bottom bunk, which I do love. It's just one of those dumb cute teen things or whatever, where it's they initially talk about how they're both sharing the same room earlier in the film, and it's oh, don't worry, it's bunk beds. And so then whenever Sarah is hitting on Doug, she's like, do you mind sleeping in the bottom bunk tonight? And he's like, oh, are you wanting to sleep on top? No. Doing that, and it's just oh, okay, holy hell. And they're having a make-out session in the shower, see blurred silhouettes there and everything as they're making out, and then
they milked that shit.
Oh yeah,
ass
they did.
against the glass.
Yes, pressed against it and everything. And she's like prepping herself to look prepared and everything. But unfortunately, whenever she gets to the room, it's honestly pretty brutal because already we saw like Doug essentially having his head crushed and everything. Like, looks like his eyeball was like bulging out and everything. And then whenever Sarah walks into the room, you see like his head smashed against the broken glass there. And reasonably so, she begins to panic. And then she's running downstairs, towel wrapped around her. And then, what do you know? Jason, with a hell of a throwing an axe through a door that implants right in her sternum there. Like, absolute goated throw there.
Yeah, she got owned.
Yes, she did. Which was also a little sad to see, but hell of a throw.
Yeah, great arm, champ.
Dude, yeah, I know. And then the next one that ends up happening is Rob, which we are given like bits of lore because as we find out, spoiler alert, Rob is trying to avenge the death of his sister because his sister is killed by Jason. And he's basically there just to present the information to, let's face it, Trish and Tommy Jarvis, essentially, because he's out there in the woods, which I do have to like this strategic pull they did at the beginning where Jason, I guess, encountered him in the woods and he's looking around for him, and then whenever he gets back to the tent, Jason like busted up his gun essentially. He's like, no, you're not using that.
Right.
Essentially. And whenever Trish is trying to I guess try to find some help or whatever, once she realizes that things are going sour, runs into him, and basically he's like, Jason's still alive. It's like, what are you talking about? He's dead at the morgue. It's like, he escaped from the morgue. It's like, no, the body was stolen. No, there's 2 other people missing. You cannot tell me that the body was just stolen. And so he's literally there with the newspaper article, The Lore, so that way whenever he drops off the bag, Tommy is able to read through it and concoct this brilliant idea to help save the day and everything.
Fucking dumb idea.
Yeah.
Well, he's 10.
It's a 10-year-old idea. Actually,
it was like a good idea, but I felt like I knew they were setting up something because he's like got all the masks and he's good at that shit. But I thought he was gonna like put a mask on or something, and maybe Jason just has infant brain and was like
doing that. Yeah, because I feel like it's a good idea. It just ended up being executed not the greatest.
Yeah,
I feel like the idea is good there and everything, but yeah, that's all really. Basically Rob is there for is basically exposition, the little exposition that you get, because I also like earlier in the film, like whenever they happen to stop by the cemetery where Pamela Voorhees is buried and everything, and just being like, oh, we're lost or whatever, just to show like, yep, she's dead and buried. Aight, doing that essentially. But yeah, and then it isn't until like later whenever Trish and Rob are basically investigating the party house and going down to the basement where, oh no, he's attacked by Jason by what I assume is like that clawed like gardening utensil or whatever, because he's like, it's like distant and dark. You can't see a lot of the things going on, but he's like repeatedly stabbed and everything there. And of course Trish is doing like the no, yeah, sort of
standing here with a machete. What do I do?
Yes, doing that, like, and I'm like, oh my god, for God's sakes. Like, you know, trust me, I get it. I love a lot of the dumb tropes, but sometimes the tropes that are included in horror films, especially Friday the 13th one, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're freaking out and everything. And then he's basically saying like, run, or whatever. He's killing me, God. Doing that, and she like doesn't know what to do. Then finally she decides to run or whatever. But then she's like, I can't leave. I gotta go back. And then she sees the hunched over body. And then she's like, oh, I guess I better leave. He's dead. And that just gives a moment for Jason to grab her through the stairs, which is a cool shot, but just getting there is dumb.
It is dumb.
It's very, very dumb, essentially. And so then she's running through, and I do like that whenever she does run to the house or whatever, and you know, her brother Tommy is there or whatever, she's like, quick, get a hammer and nails, we need to like seal everything shut. But I do love how every window is coincidentally open because she's having to lock them and everything, and I'm like, bruh, like, I would keep that stuff locked down, but that's just me, dude.
Right.
Like, I guess it's too inconvenient to lock things. It's much easier if I could just move it up and down by
Yeah.
myself.
And I like get it because like, hey, this is the '80s, back when people would just leave their front door unlocked and shit, and like in a small ass, not even just small town, but she's like in the woods.
That's true.
But also,
yeah.
like, so that would make sense to audiences at the time, I think. But also, this is Camp Crystal Lake, and this is the 4th installment of the movie. Like, you guys gotta know.
You have to know there's been kill.
Die all the time here.
Yes, doing that there. Let alone troublesome teenagers murking about,
Right.
essentially. But yeah, that being said, I mean, I do like it because, you know, she's basically going through hammering down, and then there's like a nice window setup where you're like, I hope nothing flies through that window that's awkwardly framed and shot.
Yeah.
And you see Rob's body being thrown in just to show, like, yeah, just in case you thought he survived. No, he didn't.
Right.
He most certainly didn't.
Yeah, I love that. Like, even though it's like the 1 millionth person to go through a window, it was also like just to show that your resistance is kind of futile against this guy. Like, locking the doors, nail it down, locking the windows. And he's like, yeah, just throw a body through the window and climb in. And then he just like busts through the front door anyways.
Dude, that was such a good practical effect. Just him breaking down that door. It just felt so violent, and just like if I saw that, I would have a heart attack.
I'm fucked.
Yeah, like Jason wouldn't even need to kill me. I would get myself killed with my own cardiac arrest, essentially. But I do like that while this is going on, basically, you know, Trish is like, I have to protect Tommy. And she's like, basically, whenever she's running upstairs, essentially, she's basically like trying to tell him, like, I'm going to distract him. You need to run away, essentially. And whenever I do love the chase, like, upstairs. But before that, whenever Jason grabs Tommy through the window and is, like, grabbing him, essentially, as well, I did like it because, again, I'm like, how much restraint did it take for Ted not to choke Corey Feldman out just because he really disliked him?
Yeah.
There, I'm sure he was just like, yeah. He's like, oh, Ted, you need to calm down, sir.
We said cut.
cut, you can stop now. Doing that. But, you know, and I do love just sort of like her wailing away with the hammer at his head there. And then she's finally like, oh, I can use the back end. And then it's like, oh, wow, that's smart. And then he uses that said hammer after he breaks through the door to throw it right beside her. And it just like lands right beside her, embedded in the wall. And whenever they run upstairs, I love that their whole thing is like, we'll push the shelf there. You know, the shelf will stop. It's like, I would think the shelf is futile comparatively to him busting down the door, making it explode into chunks. But then she takes the computer and just smashes it over his head, which causes him to get stunned. But whenever she's trying to like sneak by or whatever, after she's like, you know, I'm going to try to like take care of this, you need to run, essentially. That basically Jason's at like a forked road, essentially, because he gets up, and I love the axe swing that he has, like trying to slash at her, and it gets through the wall. And then whenever they're on opposite sides and Tommy's yelling Trish, Jason's like, which one do I go for?
Right.
Do I go for the easy picking one, or do I do the one that's
about to run away?
Yes. And then he's like, yeah, the one that's about to run away. And so ends up chasing her through, because basically she's going to try to buy Tommy time to run away. And I guess during the time whenever Trish and Rob were out, essentially investigating the grounds or whatever, because the power went out, Jason knew to go for the phone line, etc., etc. That's whenever Trish decides to do the run and dance. And Jason, the thing I can always appreciate about Jason is that he's all about the feng shui, decorating and everything else, because you see him decorating the house with the bodies, like nailing Crispin Glover to the door frame as sort of a barricade, and moving bodies. Like, I love one of the reveals that whenever Trish is looking through the house earlier on, that it was oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. Doug's body was missing from the shower, and you're like, oh, where's the body? And you see the blood leading. He's like, oh, he just stabbed his head to a wall.
Yeah, I just hung him up.
Just because he can and everything. But she ends up going back to the party house, and then she's like running up. I love how even though she runs, she sometimes stops to look at him, like approach and everything. And they're both having like sort of a pause run, like they're buffering or something like that. And then whenever he ends up upstairs, like, and you see that perfectly round window at the end of the hallway with a nice chest for the step up there, where like, we're about to see some more broken glass.
Right.
And then lo and behold, a spectacular dive from Trish as she jumps out the window and just lays flat on the ground. And even Jason's like, I mean, I guess that's one way you could escape me. Sure,
Right.
I'll be down there in a second.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Yeah, and then whenever she runs back to the house, Tommy in the meanwhile is like shaving his head and everything. Did you know what was going on whenever he was doing that?
Yeah, because he had the like newspaper article that had the depiction of young Jason Voorhees like drawing or whatever, and so I mean, it looked like he was trying to mimic that, and that he was gonna do some sort of emotional appeal or I don't know something.
Yeah.
Especially because was that the second movie too, where they had the whole like, or was
Yes, that was the second movie with the sweater.
the sweater, yeah. Like I feel like I was like, oh yeah, at this point we kind of know that you can kind of get Jason with some psychological stuff, but
Which I do think is like, I think the idea is great and smart and everything. It just felt like it was cheesy the way it played out, but I do love Trish's disappointment as soon as she's
it's like everybody is like, I just bought you time to run. You're supposed to fucking run, kid.
And you didn't. Why do you do this? But I love, like, whenever she's crying or whatever, Jason just slowly walks up like, damn, that sucks.
Yep.
Anyways,
back to business.
I do love him trying to avoid the machete throws and everything. Like, she's like, oh, geez, careful with that. You could hurt somebody. And then, of course, there's that cool hand effect where he gets, like, his hand sliced down the center there, and he just kind of looks at it and then looks back at her, because obviously he's an unstoppable force there. But there's definitely a lot of good moments with the lighting at this part, because obviously the power's out. And like I said, one of the things, it almost reminded me, a lot of this kind of reminds me of Halloween, which I guess it's more paying homage to Friday the 13th 1, which was also paying homage to Halloween, with like decorating the bodies, the killer just appearing from the darkness, essentially, doing stuff like that. But I don't know, it's so weird, because basically he ends up chasing Trish to the living room. She loses the machete, she's about to go down, and Tommy Jarvis runs downstairs and starts yelling for Jason's name or whatever, and Jason turns around and you see just the upstairs illuminated there, kind of cascading light to his face. So I'm like, man, I did not expect Friday the 13th Part 4 to get artsy-fartsy with the shots there. But as he like slowly approaches, I don't know what the idea was. I guess it's just for Tommy to buy time for her to try to go for the machete grab, I guess. Because, I mean, I understand that's sort of like, I guess it was the same situation in 2 where it's like, I don't know what to do. I just kind of have to do this and pray something happens in the meanwhile.
Come up with something, yeah.
And so then Trish grabs the machete, which I love that machete is usually considered Jason's main weapon, and that is also taken from a character and everything, because Part 3 he gets a mask, Part 4 arguably gets a machete from Rob and everything. But basically Trish comes up and tries to swipe at him, manages to fling the mask off, and so you get to see his horribly deformed face. Like, it is decaying. It's not even just deformed, just decaying from all the damage and hell it's gone through. And then as he turns around or whatever, Tommy's up to bat with a machete and manages to stab him through the head. And it is admittedly a cool effect seeing the head slide down the blade and everything, but it does feel a little like cheap, I guess. Like, sort of like, okay, I guess if that's the way you're going to be able to kill Jason, makes sense, I guess. But I do love the part that as soon as Jason's twitching or whatever, Tommy Jarvis starts freaking out, going, die, die, die. Starts slamming the machete repeatedly. Then it just fades to white, hospital. And it's like, it's completely fine that he did that. He was in fight or flight mode,
That's honestly, I was with the doctor on that one. Yeah. That's what pisses me off about all those movies, is that they like stab him and then they like go turn their back and like, let's go be over here and not look at him for a second so he can revive. It's like, bro, this is the unkillable guy. Like, double tap. And Tommy is the only, you gotta get a little nerd in here who's has a lot of experience killing guys in video games. He knows. You gotta hit him a few times.
Yeah, you gotta whack him a few times there. How did you feel about like that being the supposed end to this Jason Voorhees?
I mean, I didn't expect anything better, so maybe that's why I'm like cool with this.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to feel about how they kind of teased that little Tommy might be the next Jason. You know what I mean?
That was weird
because he looks like him or whatever. But I like they did make a point when they were showing like the what happened in the earlier movies to like mention the curse or whatever, and then the dude in the woods whose name's blanking on me now that was hunting him. He mentioned something about the curse at one point, I think.
Crazy Ralph, you're talking about him?
No.
Oh, you're talking about the guy at the campfire.
Yeah.
God knows what his name is.
But like the curse was mentioned a couple times, but so I like wonder if they were trying to imply like now the curse has been passed to you because you're the killer with the machete.
I think they definitely were doing that,
right? And
essentially.
I just don't know. Because this is supposed to be like the final chapter, so I mean, I guess they were saying like Jason will live on or whatever. But now it just makes me curious for future movies if like that's who Jason is in the future movies.
Yeah, like if Jason is like Corey Feldman's character essentially, and everything else. That is fair. That is totally fair. It's one of those things where I felt like I feel like whenever it came to the filmmakers, not that they wanted to tease a sequel, but they're like, we can't just end it with happily ever after. We have to make them feel a little like shaky, like
something could happen. Yeah.
Something could happen. But I feel like it's kind of cheesy and dumb.
Yeah.
Cheesy and dumb overall. So I'm not a big fan of it either. Like I felt like if this was the last Friday the 13th film, I probably would have been like, it's fine. You know, I have 1 and 3 that I can look back on fondly, essentially. But overall, I think that's the other thing that kind of took the steam away from this one for me, like not being as crazy about it as other people are. But I don't know. I'm just very fortunate that there is definitely a lot of elements I do enjoy about this film. And it's still a good time. It's just whenever you start comparing them all to each other, you're going to have your favorites and everything else like that comparatively. With that being said, anything else you did want to mention with Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, etc., etc.?
Nothing's really coming to me now.
That's kind of what I feel like. I feel like the kills is what the majority of this talks about. I mean, I feel like cinematography works perfectly fine. It's very artsy-fartsy with the lighting and everything else. Effects look great. Music's great. It's just, you're getting everything you want in a Friday the 13th film in this film. Like, if this was the only one I could ever watch, I would be fine. I would be fine with it because I would still be like, okay, well, at least it has all of the essence I do love about the Friday the 13th franchise. So definitely still a very, very worthy sequel and everything there. It was just a good, fun time.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, with that being said, I guess we'll close the book on the Friday the 13th franchise because that was the final chapter. Yeah. Nothing else ever followed, and if it does, that'll be news to me. News to me. Let's talk about the next film we're going to watch for the podcast here. Yeah. So this one, I'm going to be honest, you probably won't remember it, but Dave, Dr. Shock Becker, mentioned this film the last time he came on to help us review Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, where he said, if you don't like the autopsy of Jane Doe, watch this film instead there. And I felt like we did, like, you know, autopsy of Jane Doe and everything, but I figured, you know what? This is for you, Dave. Like, let's just check out this other film before we meet again for our future inevitable Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise review. But this film came out in 2020, and I'm going to be honest, it's probably going to have to be one of those my mouth things. So what's the opposite of nothing?
Everything.
Okay. Similar word to everything.
All the things.
Let's see.
Todos los things.
Let's see.
Everywhere, everything, all.
It starts with an A.
All.
Oh. Fudge. I am so bad at this. This is not even funny.
Always.
Let's see. What's it? First syllable of the word is redhead girl that lives with Daddy Warbucks.
What?
Fuck. Let's see. It starts with an A.
I'm thinking of girl names now.
I sometimes help out with a hint, but then sometimes
Is it just one word? Is this movie title just one word?
It's 3 words.
Okay. Give me the other words. Let's just skip.
3 words.
Yeah. 3 words. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is like a simile to everything, as you mentioned.
Okay.
Second one sounds like the number between 3 and 5.
Sounds like 4. Okay.
Yes,
so
yes,
4,
yes,
4.
yes. And then
All
the last...
4.
Yeah. All for One, the Three Musketeers horror film. Let's see. And the third word is a usual last name you would hear for artist named Michael
Jackson.
Yeah. So for Jackson, you got the 2 last words. It's just the first word.
Yeah.
Starts with an A, simile to everything, literally, and the second syllable of the word is thing.
All things, everything. It doesn't start with an A.
It starts with an A.
Why am I dumb? I feel like you're gonna say it, and then I'm just gonna tell me. Just what's the first?
Okay.
What's the first word?
Yes. By the way, the orphan adopted by Daddy Warbucks is Annie.
Anything.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was weird because I was like, I'm afraid, because I would have said everything is the opposite of nothing, and I'm like, what's the opposite of anything?
Anything. Nothing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah.
Anything for Jackson.
Yes,
I've
that
never
is
heard of this film.
Yes, it's all good. It
Besides,
was only it was only mentioned once by Dave and everything, so I'm like, let's just take a look at it ahead of time just to see how it is and everything else. So
give it a little peek.
Yeah, I'm sorry I caused your brain to like
My brain's
have
not working 100% this weekend. Anyway.
It's okay. It's all right. You get to rest until the next episode when we're popping the scary with Anything for Jackson. Thank you so much for watching. I scrambled that up. Apparently, the episode is breaking in on itself.
It's all good.
It's like a everything, everywhere, all at once.
Anything.
Sort of collapsing.
Anything, anywhere for Jackson.
Anything for you.
Anything for you, Mr. Jackson.
No! Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube, Castbox, or iTunes platforms to stay up to date when new episodes drop. To see what Aaron and I are up to, check out our respective Twitter accounts. For me, it is @ColeKirkVA, and for Aaron, it is @AnimalGameDev. Thank you all so much for listening to our podcast. We'll speak to you all again next time when we're popping the scary.